So how people turn is so important in my coaching. What we see daily is people don't rotate their rib cage enough. What that means is this does not rotate enough behind the golf ball. I measure nearly every golfer on a 3D app, and probably 1 in 50 would probably have the right amount of rotation. So we're looking at about 85 degrees of rotation in the thorax, which is kind of the mid-spine as you work back. So there's many reasons why golfers fail with this. I'm going to talk through one of the big reasons today, and it's really all about kind of the leg function and how the legs can help you rotate. So what happens when we don't rotate? If I don't rotate this rib cage correctly on the way back, I'll then tend to start the downswing with too much torso drift or movement towards target on the way down. That causes the club to come out steep. Then the reaction to that is normally early extension and a lot of throwy hand action through the golf ball. What that causes you as a golfer is lots of fat shots, lots of thin shots, lots of block shots, lots of hook shots, lots of shank shots. So very hard to get what we would class as pressure on the golf ball. And you know, we hear lots of pros talking about how to get pressure on the golf ball, and it's created by a correct sequence ideally. And the start of the correct sequence is starting to turn on the way back correctly. So where you want to be feeling the rotation from, if you put a club kind of halfway up your back and put your arms behind your body like this is where you want to be feeling the rotation more so than your shoulders. Lots of golfers, when they turn, move the shoulder towards the ball and think, yeah, that's it. I've done a big turn. I'm all good. But they're making a false turn. We need to rotate correctly through the mid-spine to allow them to get what we would call kind of lateral separation on the way down, or drift. And the rib cage then can point more towards the ball on the downswing, and the arms have a chance of getting then in front of it. If we're here and spinning, you won't get any vertical force going down, and you certainly won't get the arms in front of the body. So you tend to get the arms spread around the rib cage and then throw the club at the ball. So rotating correctly in the backswing is the first big thing in that chain of events. So what I tend to see with a lot of golfers is this trail knee doesn't move enough. So what we want to see is this trail knee moving up and the lead knee moving down, and they need to move about the same amount. Lots of golfers think the correct swing is to fix this knee in this spot and don't let it move. So they tend to make backswings where they resist or brace and then don't rotate correctly through here. Now, depending how flexible you are, depends how much this leg should move. What we want to feel is if I move my rib cage back, I want them to basically catch my hips. When I catch my hips, the hips move, and as I catch my hips, as the hips move, they catch my knees, and as the knees move, they would catch the ankles. And it's that spiraling effect from the top down as opposed to the bottom up. So we would want to definitely feel that we're working in that spiral effect to work the units of the body, the amount they need to be moved to create a functional golf swing. But as a general rule, most golfers don't straighten the trail leg enough. We want the trail leg to move back and in, not locking it straight for sure, but it wants to move back and in like this, and it almost works a little bit in towards the shaft. So if I put this shaft here in the inner part of my thigh, and I just swing back, that knee's working in towards that shaft, as opposed to away from it or staying too static. Now, if you're super, super flexible, it can stay pretty static. But I would say less than 1% of the people I would see are able to do that. So if you hit extremely great shots with crispy divots every single time and bullet straight shots, then obviously you don't need to worry about this. But if that's not you and you want to improve your golf, let's have a go at moving this trail leg a little bit more. A great way of feeling it is the hands, as I showed you already. And the second way of feeling it is put the club like this in between your thighs, make some backswings, and work the club with your hand to let your legs start to operate and move. And then as a guide, working this knee kind of in and back as the swing thought allows the hip then to go deep, which then allows the rib cage to rotate, will be the swing thought we're going to have when we go and hit the ball. The other great thing, today's a nice sunny day here in England, pretty rare. I've got my shadow here, so when I'm swinging back, I can actually see my legs move in my shadow. So I can actually take my setup, use my shadow to see if I'm fixing that knee or rotating that knee and allowing it to straighten that tiny bit to allow the rest of the rotation through the rest of my body to work. So the shadow is great. Shadows can be used for lots of really great things in other sports too. I've heard it used in football before with marking. Make sure you're within the shadow of the person and stuff like that. You know, shadows are really great. Use them in your house, use them in your backyard to be able to create the movements that we want. So when I go and hit the golf ball now, quite simply again, I'm going to let that leg just straighten. Another great way of feeling it is raise the right heel off the ground, stamp the heel down, straighten that leg as you make that rotation. That's what we want to feel. Let's go ahead and hit a shot doing that. So I definitely felt more dynamic in my legs and the hips in the backswing. Felt like I had more space and room. Give that stamp drill a go and I'm sure you'll feel the same. Now let's just talk about how we can put this into the golf course and how we can make this work as part of your everyday. So on the golf course, we want to keep it simple. What I would do is make a practice swing rehearsal where we really feel that the knees work more. Take your routine as normal to the golf ball, take your setup. Then when you go and hit a golf ball, again, the only thought would be work that knee a little bit. And just make that feel it happens in the start of the backswing and be very natural from thereafter, be very committed. So that felt really quite easy in terms of rotation, didn't feel restricted. And we want to definitely feel a non-restricted backswing to play your best golf. Give it a go.